News when you want it with Bloomberg News Now. I'm Ed Kalegi. Two Democratic Minnesota state lawmakers and their spouses were shot Saturday in what Governor Tim Walz said was likely a targeted political attack by a suspect impersonating a police officer. Democratic House Leader Melissa Hortman and her husband Mark were killed at their home. State Senator John Hoffman and his wife Yvette were wounded in a separate shooting at their home. According to a social media post from White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt, President Trump has been briefed and condemned the horrific violence. Governor Walz on the shootings.
This was an act of targeted political violence. Peaceful discourse is the foundation of our democracy. We don't settle our differences with violence or at gunpoint.
Police said a manifesto listing lawmakers throughout the U.S. was found in a vehicle linked to the suspect who was at large and the suspect of a major law enforcement dragnet. The AP is reporting two people familiar with the matter identified the suspect being sought as 57-year-old Vance Belter. The people could not publicly discuss details of the ongoing investigation and spoke to the Associated Press on condition of anonymity. Israel extended attacks against Iran as fighting intensified between the two sides, raising international concerns of a protracted and devastating conflict. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said his military would strike at every site and every target of the Ayatollah regime after Iran fired waves of ballistic missiles at Israeli cities, itself a retaliation for unprecedented airstrikes on its nuclear facilities and multiple other targets. Iran's semi-official Fars news agency said Israel targeted a facility at Iran's South Pars gas field in the Persian Gulf Saturday. Tasnim reported production from one of its offshore platforms has been temporarily halted. A sixth round of talks between the U.S. and Iran on a diplomatic solution to the Islamic Republic's nuclear program have been called off. The U.K. is moving aircraft to the Middle East to protect its military bases. Prime Minister Keir Starmer said this as he urged Israel and Iran to de-escalate their conflict. Iran has warned Britain, the U.S., and France that it would target their bases and ships if they help block its missile and drone retaliation for Israel's attack on its nuclear assets. The BBC reported this Saturday, citing state media. Russian President Vladimir Putin and President Trump held a 50-minute phone call Saturday to discuss the escalating situation in the Middle East and Ukraine peace talks. This according to Putin aide Yuri Yushakov. During the conversation, Putin briefed Trump on his recent talks with the leaders of Iran and Israel and reiterated Russia's proposal to seek mutually acceptable solutions on the Iranian nuclear issue. Yushakov told journalists following the conversation that the dangerous escalation of the situation in the Middle East was naturally at the center of the exchange of opinions. President Trump, who's celebrating his 79th birthday Saturday, is the driving force behind a parade down Washington's Constitution Avenue today, which runs behind the White House. It includes a muscular exhibition of 6,600 soldiers, Abrams tanks, Bradley fighting vehicles, and a Black Hawk helicopter. Also planned are historic reenactments, state-of-the-art military technology, and a flyover with the Air Force Thunderbirds. The Army is marking its 250th anniversary with a companion all-day event on the National Mall. The parade is expected to cost $45 million, an estimate that includes potential damage to major District of Columbia streets from heavy tank treads. Ford continues to struggle to obtain rare earth magnet supplies that are essential to car production and have already forced a temporary shutdown of one of its factories. The supply of the critical components has been trickling out of China, which has instituted a new approval process for exports of rare earths that continues to slow supply lines. Ford CEO Jim Farley talked about it on Bloomberg TV.
It's day to day. These high-powered magnets, the raw materials for them only come from certain places in the world. They're all processed in China, and they go in your speakers in your auto system. They go into your motors for your wipers and your seats. They're all over our F-150, for example. We have applications in the MOFCOM. They're getting approved one at a time. You know, we're educating the administration. We're educating the Chinese leadership about how important these jobs in the Midwest are that are dependent. We have had to shut down factories. It's hand to mouth right now.
Ford idled its Explorer sport utility vehicle factory in Chicago for a week last month due to a shortage of rare earth materials. That's news when you want it with Bloomberg News Now. I'm Ed Kalegi. This is Bloomberg.